lovely Flosstube friends, welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're all enjoying your festive season. I'm so excited to finally be sitting down and filming my 2024 end of year WIP Parade. I never thought I'd get here. This is always one of my favourite videos to create because it gives me the chance to reflect on everything I've worked on this year and start organising myself for the year ahead. Now, this isn't a plans video, don't worry, that's hopefully coming. Today is all about reviewing my WIPs, what I've worked on, what I finished, and what's still waiting for attention. Probably quite a lot. It's been an interesting year with its ups and downs. I've been very busy, but looking through my tracker spreadsheet has really helped me understand my stitching habits and trends over the past 12 months. So grab your stitching, your knitting, your craft of choice, and let's dive into what I've been working on in 2024. So breaking down the WIPs, I like to organise my WIPs into categories. It helps me make sense of everything without getting overwhelmed by the total number of projects, because there's a lot. Last year I tried something new. I put some of my old WIPs into a stitching snooze cupboard. It's more like a timeout cupboard. I realised that having too many options made decisions much harder for me, so I limited myself to a smaller number, more manageable selection of WIPs, and the plan was to replace my finished projects with others from the stitching snooze stroke timeout cupboard. Of course, I didn't finish anything big, so none of them came back out to play. With all the best intentions in the world, there just was no time. And of course, a few new starts crept into the equation, and that's fine by me. So here's how I categorise my WIPs. So on my WIPs, I do a WIPs carryover from 2023. I do a new starts from 2024. I do WIPs I've carried into 2025 from 2023 or earlier. And then I do a WIPs I'll carry into 2025 that was started in 2024. And for this year, I'll be doing a stitching snooze WIPs to go back in the cupboard for 2025. So, stitching snooze WIPs of 2024. So let's start with the projects that I put into, not timeout, but they went into a stitching snooze for 2024. As you can see, top left to bottom right, you've got Castles in the Air by Long Dog Sampler, Mini Red Queen Red Dragon, Peacock's Lagoon, which is another full coverage, Botanical Gardens, which is a Mirabilia. You've got Cherry Orchard by Owl Forest Embroidery. You've got Garlic Dragon by Stanley Morrison. I think that was Charting Creations, if I'm not mistaken. We've got Spring Quaker Rosewood Manor. We've got Life is an Open Book in Paris. Again, that's a full coverage. You've got Queen of May. We've got Greta Goldblum, a Bella Filipina. We've got Christmas Fairy Magic by Ruben McHugh. We've got Second Day of Christmas by Liz Matthews. We've got Elizabeth Weston from Hands Across the Sea. We've got Chatelaine Frosty Knot Garden. We've got Mayari by Bella Filipina. And we've got Sugar and Cream Teacups by Mirabilia. So they were all of the projects that I put to one side, if you like, and they went into a 2024 snoozing stitchy cupboard, is basically what I did with them. So when I look at these projects, there are a few projects here that I've been itching to work on. So I'll be dusting some of those off and adding them into my 2025 lineup. And I'll share more about this on my plans video, hopefully before the end of the year. So what I stitched on in 2024, I hear you say. So first of all, let's look at what I stitched on this year that I started in 2023 or earlier. So this is anything that came into the year of this year. Of course, the first up, my Alternative Reality it's a Heaven and Earth design by Josephine Wall. It was started on January 1st, 2016. I know, 2016. So this year, it got a grand sum total of 8 days worth of stitching, would you believe? 8 days, that's all it got. That makes basically an equation of 2.78% of my stitchy time that I managed to stitch. So this WIP continues to be a long-term commitment. I think we can agree on that. Although it didn't see extensive progress this year, I do still really love this piece. I had plans for it in 2025, but yeah, it didn't get as much love as I would like to think that it would. The next project is my Evening in the Park by Chatelaine. This one was started in December, or 28th of December 2016. And I have to say, people, with a lot of help and push from you guys, we got some serious work done on this. So this got a total number of days stitched on in 2024 of 44 days. That's a grand sum total of 15.28% of my stitching time. So Evening in the Park was the standout project of the year, with significant progress made on the trees and lanterns eventually, with a big push at the end. It was one of the most rewarding projects to work on this year. And finally, people, I can actually say this officially on a video. All the stitching is now complete and I am halfway through the beading. So as long as my video doesn't need too much editing between now and the end of the year, which is only 3 days, I'm firmly on track for a 2024 finish. I will accept if it comes to it, given that I've still got this video to get edited and uploaded, and I've got my plans video to get edited and uploaded and recorded. I think I'm pushing it with only 3 days to get another whole half of that beaded so that it is completely done by the end of the year. But I did say that I didn't intend, well, I did say loosely at the beginning of this month that I thought it was unlikely I could get all the stitching and all the beading done by the end of the year. But you never know. You know, a miracle could happen, people. It really could. But if it comes to it, I will accept a January finish for the beading side of things on this. But I am so happy. I mean, I'll be much happier when all the beading's done, admittedly. But yeah, massive push, and a lot of applaud and thank you for everyone on the channel who has been helping me charge along with this and giving me the inspiration and spurring me on to make sure that we got there. We did. You know, I did say as long as I get all the stitching done, and we are done. I would just, now that I've sort of hit that milestone, it would be really nice to be able to hit that it is fully finished. And I don't mean FFO'd, but just finished to the point that nothing else needs to be done on it. It just needs to be framed. That would be a nice place to be. So yeah, huge thank you to everyone for that. So next up we have Winter White Santa. So my Winter White Santa again is a very old project, and it was started on the 15th of October 2017. And this got a total of 10 days worth of stitching in 2024. So that's 3.47% of my stitchy time. I love him. I love all of his festive charm. And he did see most of his action in January of this year, when the season theme matched the mood, so to speak. Progress was steady, but then in spring came and yeah, he didn't come out to play for a little while. But that said, I did take him to the last no-ban retreat, but I realised that I'd stolen some of his threads. So note to self. I need to re-kit him back up with thread drops, with my new way of kitting my projects, with all the floss, not just some of it. And I'm obviously not as organised as I would like to think I am. But yeah, he did well. I don't know what the stats were, other than the fact that, you know, we've got an arm, we've got a bird. It would be nice to get another arm. I'd love to get the other side of him done before he then goes away again, the early part of this year. But yeah, as part of my plans, I'm planning to incorporate him. Let's put it like that. So the next one is my Long Dog Sampler. So that's Tap Dancer by Long Dog Sampler. This one was started on the 3rd of May 2022. And this one got a total number of stitches of 10 days. So that's 3.47% of my stitchy time. You would think that I would have stitched up a storm on this one, but alas, it was not to be. But I'm happy with the progress. I'm going to say that a lot throughout this video. I can feel it already. But yeah, I mean, I did do quite a lot. I love the fact that the bottle's there. We've got the flying lady. Yeah, just... I don't know. I can't even say why that one didn't come out to play, because that's one of the easier ones to stitch on, because it's literally one colour thread and you just yeah, it shouldn't be taking this long. But I could say that about all of my projects, couldn't I? So the next WIP on the list is my Bella Filipina Maiden of Tabataha. That's probably not how you say it. That's how I'm going to say it. This one was started on the 16th of July 2022. And this one got a total number of days stitched, 9 days. So that makes up 3.12% of my stitchy time. And I have to say, I love this piece and the colours. It's perfect for stitching at retreats with all the blocky colour. Although it didn't dominate my stitching time this year, I have plans for 2025, but I am more than happy with the progress. We've got, I think I'm down to a fin at the bottom, and now I'm undecided of whether I want to keep going down and finish the fin at the bottom or go up and do a midriff. We're undecided. I'm on the fence with that. But yeah, plans for 2025 for her. The next one is my Leela Studios Halloween Quaker. It was started on the 22nd of October 2022. And unfortunately, it didn't receive any attention in 2024. And because of that, this is on the fence for 2025 active WIPs. More about that in the plans video, because I'm still bashing just a few of the last bits and pieces of my plans out for 2025. So this one's still got a bit of a question mark over it. But providing that video goes up by the end of the year, you'll know what the decision is, and we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, very disappointed with that one. We didn't do as well as we should have. Next on the list is my Bella Filipina Magan. Absolutely love Magan. So Magan was started on the 1st of January 2023, and she got a total number of stitches of 9 days. So that makes 3.12% of my stitchy time. So another Bella Filipina that features bold colours. It's great to do at retreats and whilst I'm watching TV. It's another go-to project for when I do retreats and when I do my lives, because I can just sort of pick a colour and just run with it. It's so much easier. And it's really easy to sort of chat and stitch with that at the same time. So I don't think we did too badly with that one at all. I think the problem is I've just got too many fancies, too many fancy ladies and fancy men and fancy everything. I'm just not getting what I call dedicated time on any one project, and I think that's what I'm feeling at the moment. So the next project on the list is a full coverage. I say it's full coverage. It's not full coverage. The design is full coverage, but it doesn't have a background. So this is the Heaven and Earth design artwork by Gordon Fitchett, Little Princess Duck. So my Little Princess Duck was started on the 27th of March 2023. It got a total number of days stitched on of 9 days. That's 3.12% of my stitchy time. There is a trend here. It does seem to be like I get 9 days on most things. So this one was enabled on one of the live streams back in 2023 by the lovely Mags. She was the reason that we all went on a bit of a duck mission. Whilst this project received scattered attention at best, and I say scattered because that's what it was, it is a joy to work on, even if I'm not using gridded fabric. Now that I'm starting to shape it so that I can get past that head, I'm going to start working in my standard blocks. And I think Given that it's not on a gridded fabric, I think I'm gonna sort of try to take the parking out of this one also. This is another one where I did have everything parked, and I'm finding that because I've got no grid lines with all the threads everywhere, I'm getting a little bit lost in my own self. So more about that in my plans video for 2025. But happy with the progress on that one. Next is another full coverage Heaven and Earth design, artwork by Donna Gelsinger. It is Stocking Deer Creek. This one was started on the 6th of May 2023, and it got a total number of days stitched was 6 days. So that's 2.08% of my stitchy time. Now this must have something to do with being seasonal and Christmas themed. It is another full coverage Haid, although it's a stocking. It was supposed to be smaller. That's not the case on an 18 count, that's for sure. But it is great for when you've got tired eyes. So I think this one is more suited to my colder months. And I appreciate that whilst the progress was minimal, it's a great candidate for focused attention during the festive season for next year, I think. Or for at least early 2025 whilst it's still cold. Also, I used this piece for testing out a non-parking method to see how I feel about it. And so far, I'm rather liking. Now, I don't know if it's just because it's this project, but I did get a lot more done as part of the processes of stitching in all of the park threads on this one. So the verdict, well, the jury's still out as to whether I prefer to park or whether I prefer not to park. But this one is basically the trial project for sewing in all of the park threads and doing a new version, of which I will do a video of what this new version is. But this is sort of a test, because up until now I've never stitched on full coverage without parking. So we're gonna see how we go on this. But I'm really, she says, happy with the progress that I did get on that. Given that it didn't get that much stitching time, I sort of went big guns with that one. So more than happy with that. Next up, we have Family Farm, which is my Afghan. It was started on the 17th of September 2023. And this got a total number of 19 days worth of stitching. That's 6.6% of my stitchy time. That's not bad for me, I have to say. It is great as a very cozy project to stitch on with its 18 count fireside fabric, that's for sure. It's like a blanket. It's perfect for winter evenings. And although it saw limited stitching time this winter, but then that's because I was doing all the focus on evening in the park. Again, this is a great one for easy stitching. Because it's little squares, each square is like its own little mini finish. So absolutely love that one. Love. Next on the list is the new starts for 2024. So this is basically everything that I started this year. So this is the fun part. So first up, we have my stitching gnomes. They were started on the 2nd of February 2024 is when they were started, and these got a total number of stitches of 25 days. I know, that's whopping. That's 8.68% of my stitchy time, and I was going big guns on this one. I don't know if it's because it's so different to most things that I stitch on, or that it was easy for commuting. This was like a highlight of the new starts this year. I just have all the French knots to do. I know. I think that's what's holding everything up now, is the thought of that last gnome. And I decided that the cotton ball at the top is going to be all French knots. So I just need to have all the French knots done, and then we'll have a finish along with the gnome. So I think yeah, the hold up is definitely the French knots, because the French knots are the sorts of things that I can't do on a train. These are like home only, not on the train type stitches. So I think that's the reason why, because up until this point, this was predominantly a commuting stitch. So I just need to get on and get the gnome done. I mean, I could actually finish that last gnome on the commute and then just worry about the cotton ball last and just do all the French knots when I'm at home. That's an option. That is an option. So next on the list is French Country Reindeer Stocking. This one was started on the 22nd of May 2024. It got a total days of stitching was 5. That's 1.74% of my stitchy time. I've got to be honest, I struggled with this one. The reindeer to the left, we had some issues with, and I think it's still in the wrong place. I'm going to leave it where it is. So I just need to, I just need to pull it out. I just need to have less WIPs, less active WIPs, and then maybe we might get somewhere. So next up, we have Welcome to the North Pole. So Welcome to the North Pole was started on the 19th of October 2024. It's a Primrose Cottage stitches. As you can see, I've put in the details at the top. It's on a 28 count. It's Leo from Sparklies. And this one got a total number of stitch days of 19 days. I know, 19 days that got. And that got 6.6% of my stitchy time. So that's not bad for me at all. I have to say, it's a very colourful and festive piece. For me, it captures everything to do with Christmas. So this new start was started at the Magan retreat, where there was me and a few others that have started this. Some had already pre-started and then they've sort of said they'll wait for us. And I've used this mostly since the Magan retreat as my train project. I have organised with Lauren Cross Stitch Bunny. She's organised my button pack for me. I think I've done a little bit more than what you can see on this picture, but only like marginally a little bit more. But absolutely love stitching on that one. And then this one is Ornament Christmas. You haven't seen this one yet. So this one was started on the 11th of December 2024, and it's a cheeky new start. And like I say, you haven't seen it before now because it's new and I haven't done a video since I started it. But I decided that I need another ornament, this one for me. So because of that, I was like, I'm just going to start it and see how we go. So that is it for the actual WIPs, she says. That is the WIP. So the detailed 2024 WIP insights. Reflecting from all of this, my top focus project, she said, Evening in the Park was my standout project, I have to say. It received the highest percentage of stitching time, which was at 15.28%. I mean, that's like unheard of. The consistent progress and then this big push this month has made the stitching a sort of finish. Now, like I say, I've only got 3 more days to get the beading done. Fingers crossed we will have a finish, a total finish for 2024, but don't hold your breath. I'm not guaranteeing that. So the other project that was supposed to have been a focus for 2024 was Alternative Reality. Also, it did receive attention, though at a smaller scale of 2.78%, which is a bit disappointing. But every stitch counts, even and especially on the full coverage pieces. So seasonal themes. So a lot of the projects that I've got are rather seasonal. So you think we've got projects like Winter White Santa, we've got Deer Creek Stocking. Obviously now I've got the Welcome to the North Pole. All of that adds a festive spirit to the stitching. But I have a feeling though that they'll be seasonal unless I can make an extra effort to work on them throughout the year, which I am going to include in part of my plan for 2025, but they're very seasonal. They are very seasonal. Retreat favourites, of course, Magan and Maiden of Tubba They were perfect for stitching at retreats. They offered the right amount of mix. So easy enough that I could do stitching and allow for fun and chatting in between. Everything else that I try and stitch on just doesn't, I either mess it up or it's just one of those ones where I'm like, although I want to chat, I'm like, I'm not talking to you because I need to focus on this because otherwise it's going to go wrong. So they are the sorts of projects that are great for me to take off to retreats because I can still manage to do both. And by using my tracker, it's allowed for me to get these insights, which I find so helpful in shaping out my plans for 2025. It's clear which projects I've been drawn to and which ones might need a little extra love and to be pulled out a little bit more often. So, next, she says, next, and most importantly, the 2024 finishes. So let me flick you over. Let's talk about what I did manage to finish this year, because I did manage some finishes. So we got carried over finishes. So we had the High Heels Collection 2, which I completed this year. And not sure how much you saw of this. And for those of you that were, on the channel back around this time last year, I did start, because I'd done all of the finishes for everybody else. I decided that it was unfair that I never had any ornaments or finishes of my own. So I started and finished very quickly the Mill Hill stocking that you can see in the middle of this picture, but I hadn't put it all together. I'd sort of got some of it on, but it didn't have a hanger and it didn't have a few bits and pieces done. So I managed to get that done in this month whilst I was sitting here working one day. So I had myself a little ornament finish, of which I will show probably in my January monthly update. It hasn't been the most productive set of finishes from older projects this year. And I know I've definitely struggled with finding enough me time this year for the stitching. But we did have new starts and finishes in 2024. So we had Gather Moment stitching tray in the top right hand corner. So that was a start and finish this year. We had the Noël en Rouge red jumper and blue jumpers. They were a Christmas gift. So it's not like I didn't get any finishes this year. So I'm more than happy. I sound more than happy. Obviously, I'm always more happy if I'd have got more stitching and more stitches done. But I'm happy that I got some finishes. So looking ahead in 2025, time is always the biggest challenge. So I've been working on a plan for 2025. I loved limiting my options this year by putting the WIPs into the stitching snoozy cupboards up behind me. It took all that procrastination out of the decision of what to stitch on, and it helped me to focus on making a bit more progress, she says loosely. I know it doesn't look like it, but it did when you think some of those projects got days and days worth of stitching on them. So for 2025, I do plan to do something very similar, maybe even a bit more ruthless, so I can really push for a few more finishes, especially of some of those older WIPs. There's some WIPs in there that really shouldn't still be WIPs, but I am not the first. I will not be the last to say that on one of these videos. But at the same time, I don't want to restrict myself too much and end up not bored, but not wanting to stitch on the active WIPs that I've allocated. So this year, I allowed myself to work on 16 WIPs with a variety of categories, because I categorize everything. Everything's like either a full coverage or a fancy or a sampler or a small or a Christmas or a winter, or everything's like categorized. And I categorized to keep things interesting. And I also participated in WIP Go, which for me is a great way to stay focused on certain projects while still allowing myself the flexibility, because I use my categories for my flexibility. So my WIP Go board isn't set by project, it's set by category, like chatelaine or full coverage or sampler or Afghan or winter Christmas. I find that this gives me enough flexibility to choose what I fancy while still meeting my goals. So for 2025, I'll shuffle up my active WIPs. I'll refine my categories, sort of. And I'll also allow myself a few new starts, but no full coverages or huge projects. If I want any new starts in 2025, currently my thought process is that they need to be small enough to work on during my commute rather than taking up any more home stitching time. But I'm going to finalise my plans before the end of the year and share them with you in an upcoming video, all going well. So my reflections on 2024, when I look at my tracker, my spreadsheet and side-by-side photos, it's clear where I put my time. For example, Halloween Quaker was available to stitch all year long, but I never touched it. Whereas Winter White Santa got lots of attention, but it was in January when it was festive and seasonal. So it's definitely making me think a little bit more about how I'm going to approach 2025. And it's been very, very insightful for, you know, what I've produced in 2024. So thank you so much for all the fun and support on my channel this year. All the lovely messages that I get all year round. I hope you enjoy seeing the progress of today's 2024 WIP Parade with me. It's been so nice to look back at everything that I've worked on this year, and I am feeling inspired and excited for 2025. But I will be sharing my final plans for 2025 before the end of the year, all going well. So stay tuned if you'd like to see how I'm organising my stitching goals. Let me know in the comments below what your big stitching goals are for 2025, because I'm interested. I'd love to hear about them. And until next time, people, happy stitching, happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.